Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPad 9th generation and see how this iPad holds up in the later part of 2024. Now, the number one thing I can definitely tell you in my personal opinion is that the iPad 9th generation is one of those iPads that I think, was a very good iPad when it first came out, and it still is a pretty decent iPad for the most part. However, I think there's probably better deals out there in this day and age nowadays, so it might make more sense to look elsewhere, but this is still a really good iPad, and if you currently still own it, I think it's a solid option. Now, the body of this thing is still the same as it first looked when it came out in 2021. When this thing first came out, it was a good redesign coming from the previous generations. It gave you a bigger size panel. This thing on the front is giving you a 10.2-inch Retina IPS LCD display. And I do think that's a pretty good display to have inside of this type of phone or this type of iPad, because you're able to have a big size display. It looks great. Not really too many things to complain about here either from the screen standpoint. Maybe just one thing you can kind of say, no high refresh rate here. So still stuck at basically like the 60 hertz, but I don't think that's a bad thing going on for this panel either. I think it's like a good thing going on here. On top of that, you're still also maintaining things like a home button on the front, which for better or for worse, it gets the job done. Front facing camera, which with center stage, which is a really nice feature. You're also maintaining things like a lightning port at the bottom, headphone jack, the single camera setup on the backside. It's a good looking iPad for the most part. I do think that's a nice thing going on for this type of device. It's not a perfect looking tablet anymore. It definitely has been showing its age more recently, but I don't think it's a bad iPad, and I think it looks pretty good when it kind of comes down to it. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there. Now from the iPad OS standpoint and software update standpoint, this iPad did get iPad OS 18, and I was able to go ahead and install it and kind of take a look at it. And the thing I can tell you about iPad OS 18 is that for even older iPads like this one, you're still getting a lot of features and a lot of cool things going on when you're getting this type of iPad. And I really do appreciate that a lot when you're getting this type of device. Because even though this is an older styling of iPad, you're still able to go through and get a really good type of iPad and a very good device from this thing, which in and of itself for me is a really, really nice thing going on here. So kind of keep that in mind. I really do appreciate being able to go ahead and have an iPad like this that's still rocking the current version of iPad OS really, really well. So I think this in and of itself, like I mentioned before, is another really, really cool thing going on here as well. So kind of keep that in mind when it comes down to it as well. Now, when it comes down to comparing this thing against the latest and greatest iPads that just came out, like the current generation iPad Pros and maybe some other devices here and there, the thing I can definitely tell you in my personal opinion, right, is that if you're going to go through and get any iPad, definitely the most, the newest iPads are definitely going to be the better ones. Those are almost always going to be the better ones for the most part that you're going to be getting. And I think that's a super, super important thing to keep in mind here too. Because if you're going to go through and get a newer iPad, it's always nice to get the one that's going to be the latest one with a more with more software updates. But I do think this iPad still is giving you really decent performance with its chipset, with its RAM count. It's definitely not a bad performing iPad by any means. So overall, what I can tell you is that I still love the iPad, 9th generation. I think this is a very good iPad for the most part. It may not be a perfect device, but I do think Apple did a good job with this thing. And for a super budget ultra iPad, I think this thing is probably like a decent option when it comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.